Well, everybody knows the Zimbabwean voice now, that's for sure. And it's a beautiful voice, that one. One of unity, one of togetherness, one of peace, one of love, you know. That's the way forward. Oga, Oga.
On the African Highway Podcast Network, this is Zimbabwean Voices, the podcast where we shed light on Zimbabweans from across the world that are shifting the Zimbabwean narrative for the better. In this episode, I have the pleasure of speaking to my good friend Lungile Tshuma, who is currently a management consultant in the United States, finished his MBA at Washington University in St. Louis, and is simultaneously carving out a niche for himself in entrepreneurship in the United States as well. In his previous life, however, Lungi used to be a rugby player for the Zimbabwe Sables rugby team as a fullback or wing. And him playing for the Sables rugby team in Zimbabwe actually gave him the scholarship that enabled him to go to the United States and play for Lindenwood University during his undergrad in St. Louis. Why I wanted to shed light on Lungi in particular is what he did with that Lindenwood University opportunity. So he went and did really, really well. But unlike most artists, he didn't just do well and then finish. He did well, finished, built a good name. And what he's done since then is set up what is called the Tshuma Foundation, which is a foundation that is specifically focused on giving scholarships to Zimbabwean rugby athletes that show promise and good character. And then what he does is identify people like that and then gives them an opportunity to actually study for free in the United States at Lindenwood University based off the good name that he left whilst he was there. I mean, I know so many athletes that play rugby or sport at any different schools across the world, but I haven't seen many that have gone to schools, left a good name, and taken it upon themselves to say, I came to this institution, but I shouldn't be the last. And I should be a vessel or a bridge rather, that can help bring people across from my community and give them opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise have had. So I've never seen that being done before. And I think that is really cool. And I think it's important to shed light on such stories. So I hope you guys enjoy his story, the work that he's doing, and get inspired by it. But dude, thanks so much for the time. What I wanted to do, right, is I know you're a busy person. Of course, you got stuff to do on your Sunday, your partner. But what I wanted to do was I've actually interviewed a couple of close friends of mine. I think the idea, of course, is Zimbabwean Voices, as I've said. Mm-hmm. And if you look at stories, as I think you have been very instrumental in kind of this process, because when I was applying for school, you talked about the importance of telling my story. Mm-hmm. And how, and I maybe I understood that maybe it's quite intellectual. I didn't know, maybe at a surface level, I stood at a surface level, but I didn't understand the real, actual firepower that a story has. It has real firepower. Yeah. It's perceptions are built on it. Countries build the name on it. Yeah. You know, America's big because it's probably the best storytelling country in the world. Nike is powerful because it's the best storytelling company in the, you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So I think as I got to that process, as I was going to school, I had a process to almost stop, pause, and really dig deep and kind of pull out these narratives and then kind of see what the threads were. And I'm like, oh, geez, there's actually a little golden thread that's actually across my history, at least my history. And that was a really illuminating thing. And one of the things I was looking, when I looked back through my history, a big thing was, for me, the positive Zimbabwean narrative was it's always been an important thing for me. It's always been and because I went to school in South Africa, I mean, of course, because of Zim was going on in Zim, and we were growing up as kids where things were kind of in flux. Yeah. Then I go to school in South Africa, and I'm now at 12 years old, I come into this, and then all of that stuff is happening at Zim, and that's the narrative that is being perpetuated on Zimbabweans. Mm-hmm. I remember speech day. Whenever I do a speech day, it will always be guys, yes, things are crazy, but I'm telling you, there's positive Zimbabwean story also exists. So that's that. Yeah. And then I think the same thing would always happen when I would be, even as I was applying to school, now I have to do a video essay. I would always be saying the same thing. When I finished varsity, I wanted to do this exact thing where I would interview people who are doing cool stuff from Zim, who are doing the positive things I think Zim needs to hear about. Mm-hmm. Then the camera got stolen. The camera got stolen before we Before.
That's such a
Bro,
wow.
the camera got stolen. I was like, geez, I'm just trying to tell good stories here. Now the camera gets stolen the day we were about to shoot. It was me and my friend Tapio. We were going to shoot this girl called Lily. She was making like cool making work made by a woman in the Idoma shower, and they were kind of exporting across the world. And they built this brand. And I was like, this is amazing. She's empowering people. People should know about the work that this woman is doing. And the camera gets stolen on the day. So of course, like as I was applying to school, I was like, look, if I don't get into school, what remains? And I was like, well, I think we've seen a trend that whether I succeed at this school thing or not, there's something that will still remain, which is there's something that needs to facilitate getting these stories out in any way that I can.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to kind of chat to you about today. I've spoken to like a couple of people, Hilton, Farah, I think from a rugby perspective were really interesting. And I think you're interesting I think your whole life story is very interesting. But I think specifically for me, as a person who used to play rugby in the past, there's that transition point where you almost have to reinvent yourself into what life after rugby looks like. And that is a very tough thing because a lot of the time you tie your identity to your life as an athlete. And it's almost like an emotional upheaval that has to go to like, listen, there's something else you can do beyond this. Do you know what I'm saying? I think you have a very interesting story about that. So I'll touch on what you've been up to the past 2 years, and I'll kind of take it back into how you got into that particular journey.
Yeah. That's definitely something quite interesting to talk about. And just to answer your question on touching back in the last 2 years, so I've basically been I've been in the United States for I guess the past almost 8 years. In the last 2 years,
8.
Yeah,
8.
I know, time's moving.
Yeah, time's gone quickly. Yeah.
And the last 2 years I've been doing my MBA. So after my leadership training and consulting in St. Louis with a company called Barry Wemela, I applied to go into because now business was, my vehicle was who I wanted to be.
Yes.
I applied to
vehicle for what? Vehicle
for I've always I think similar to you, Demi, or
sure.
Just always wanted to represent my people, do well, and have impact. And obviously sport was my first vehicle.
That platform. Sure.
Yeah, that was the platform.
Yes.
And then I pivoted to business, and we can talk about why later when we're talking about identity. And so leadership training and consulting was the first thing I did. And then I wanted to elevate my skills a little bit more so that I could be, someone of value in this business world. So I decided to apply to an elite business school. And unlike, I took a gamble, and there's a trend of gambles, me taking gambles in my life. And I don't know if it's for better or for worse, but
it is what it is.
Yeah. I applied to one. I just applied to this
to one business school. One business school. Huge.
And the hook was for me, it was they had this new program that was called the Global Immersion, where you would travel to DC, be in the Brookings in this think tank. And then you'd go to Barcelona, you'd do some consulting there, a winery, and also do some classes. Then you'd go to Beijing, then you'd go to Shanghai. And it was just like this global, business curriculum that was bringing everything that I like together. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I was like, okay, I'm going to apply to the school. And no lie, I used to drive past that school. And
when you drive past, was it always an idea like, this is the school I want to? Maybe if I'm lucky enough to go to, it'd be great to go there.
I literally used to say, to me, no lie, I literally used to say, thank you, God, that I will be starting my MBA at Washington University in St. Louis this coming summer. Every time. I've got friends who like, bro, what are you doing?
It's like, I am going to do my MBA at this
Yeah.
school.
And then after a week, those same friends would be like, thank you, Lord, that yeah. Dude, I used to drive past that school every day and or most days and say that. And then I got in. Through the
Wait, hang on. Okay, so so of course we're driving past. We're working at this particular time. We finished our undergrad. We're now working in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And we get to a point where you think I need to get deeper learning through a business school.
Yeah.
I guess the first question I have is like, why business school as a vehicle for going, I guess, and then the second question I'll say is what that actual interview, at least the application process and interview is like. Because I think there's a lot of stuff we can learn from those 2 points.
Yeah, for sure. Why business school? I had the realization that a lot of the problems that are being solved in Zimbabwe and the African continent are in small businesses and entrepreneurs' hands. Like they're the ones that are on the ground, innovatively solving these problems. My justification, and in my head, this is how I think of the situation in Zim and the African continent. Void of any political, affiliation. Zimbabwe and a lot of the African countries were liberated by, a very brave generation of people that gave us, this freedom. And that was the public side for me. Like the public won our, like the public governments won our freedom. So that we can, live a better life and a good life. To me, the private side, the onus is on them now to elevate those lives, to create new businesses that are innovative, that are solving problems, that are going to make people wealthier, that are going to expose talents to opportunities. It's now the private side. In my head and in my heart, that's how I was thinking about it. And I wanted to be part of that. I think that the public side has done their jobs. Now the onus is on the public side to lift it up and accelerate it. So that's why the business side. That's why I was like, okay, I want to be part of that. I
like that. I like that. Okay.
And then and it was from a sporting, because obviously I was an athlete before. And the conversation that I had was, sport is for me, business is for the people. And I was like, I need to be for the people. I think it would cast a wider net.
Right.
Right. And then to answer the second question in terms of the interview process, it was, so the first thing I had to do was, and I'm sure you're familiar, was to take the GRE. So it was either GMAT or GRE. And I had never taken these things before. So
I took it 4 times. Jeez, it's some guys testing 4 times. It's tough, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes,
So exactly what you were doing. I had to study for this thing. And the writing wasn't bad. The writing and the English part. I was like, okay, I still got it.
Yeah.
And then the math and it was like
that quant will separate the wheat from the chaff. That quant.
And it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be, some of them are quick. It's supposedly intuitive math problems that, you just go through. And I was like stuck on a problem for like 10 minutes, fam. Like
it's the strategy. It's almost like you guys don't want me to answer the question. There's like a strategy. It's about strategy. You're like, geez.
Yeah.
And it's high school math. It's not like impossible. It's high school mathematics, but it's the time pressure and the strategy that you have to answer it when that adds and the recollection from like, how do I do it? Anyway.
Yeah. So it was that was a struggle, but I was working and then I was studying in the night, and then after about 4 weeks or so, I just took it. I went to this place and I took it, and I forgot what happened. It wasn't like I didn't blow it out of the water.
Yes.
I wasn't extremely terrible, but I was like somewhere in the middle.
Sure.
And I basically took this to gave it to the school, and so they do interviews with me.
Yes.
And I remember the first interview, and her name is Tina Davis. We had an interview. Interview's going okay. It's going fine. It's talking about the story and stuff. And they have a couple of questions, STAR method questions.
Yes.
And then at the end of the interview, she kind of like closed the book, and I was like, hey, I just asked her a couple of questions about her and stuff.
Yes.
And then she was like,
and are you feeling like this interview is going well? You're like, well, it's going okay.
I'm like, it's going okay. And then she's like, so what, what's driving you behind like to do this? And I just pulled my heart out. I was just like, look, I'm from Zim, and I love my country. I love the continent. What I am doing is I want to empower them. I want my success to empower those my fellow countrymen and women and the continent. I want to shed light on some talent there. And this is part of the process. Getting my MBA is part of the process. And I actually said, I'm going to do it. And I think WashU would be a perfect place for me to cultivate those skills for me to do it.
Yes.
If WashU doesn't feel the same, that's okay. But I'm still going to do it.
But in either way, you guys, there's a train that is leaving at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys can be on that train or not. Like whether you come on the train or not, like it's irrelevant, right? I'm still gonna do what I intend to do.
Yeah.
So be part of it. That's wonderful.
Yeah. And
so you almost felt like, so go on. Yeah. She felt like she's like, maybe I need to.
Yeah. No. She was, and she started pouring her heart out as well. And at the end of the conversation, she was just like, I think we'll get in. I think you'll get in here. We'll see how it goes, but I think
want to make this thing happen.
Yeah,
want to make this
thing happen. So she was great. And at the time, I remember her son was at the hospital, so she was going through a tough time as well. But after that interview, I was like, okay, this is a renowned school. Like the undergrad has like a 1% acceptance rate or something.
Yes,
it's ridiculous.
Yes.
But I think I can get a place here. And I remember going to my second interview, and I walked into this interview.
There were 2 interviews.
I may have had 3. I think there were 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you go to So
I go to my second interview, and I walk in, and there's three women standing there. And they're like, "Oh, you're Lungi. We've heard so much about you. We wanted to see.
This is the guy. This is the guy.
We wanted to put a face to you." And
I was name.
Like, "Okay."
So basically, I forget the lady's name. She was vouching to say, "Guys, there's this guy. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You guys have to. He has to get in here. You guys have to be there." Okay.
And do you know where it came from? It came from the story. Like the
stories.
Being able to tell those stories of where I come from, who I am. And where I'm going, pretty much. Remember, like to tie that thread through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it it resonated. So,
it cuts through into a world-class institution. it
Yeah.
cut through like butter just into a world-class institution.
Yeah.
You said,
Yeah. And it was great, man. It was, and they were like, okay, if you want a scholarship, if you want more of a scholarship, you can retake the GRE. And I was like, I don't know if I want to retake the GRE. I know you took it 4 times. I know you took the test.
Of course. That thing. Yeah. But yeah, so you said, look, but had you gotten in already, or you're like, look, I'm in, fine.
No, they were like, I wasn't in yet, but they were like, it'll give you a scholarship and an acceptance, and I was like, no, just I'm okay. And yeah, I got a scholarship, and
amazing.
Yeah, it was such a great opportunity, man. It was unbelievable. I still can't believe I did it.
Dude, well done and congratulations. I mean, you should be super proud. And like, I spoke to Farai about this earlier, into how sometimes I think the United States at top programs does MBAs well. And not that I've been to a top program, but what I've seen is how people have come out of them. I've seen that before and after. And that's the term that I used when I was speaking to Farai was scope of possibilities. So you go in like you're with the worldview is almost like this. For some people, then you come out and like there's like this. Yeah, with these classmates, you look at these classmates, you're like, goodness me, these are people that I'm in class with.
Yeah.
And you have to take them so seriously because everyone's so impressive. Everyone is just so impressive, and then the teachers are impressive, and then like their worldviews are just so broad. You say, goodness me, I can do it. Not I do anything, but like the possibilities just almost seem endless. So the question I have for you, like, what was that 2-year experience like, and was it as transformational as it has been for other people?
Yeah, man, and I think you got it right with the when you see your cohort members and your classmates, you're like, wow,
You're like, yo,
these people are unreal. You're like, guys,
yeah.
People are like speaking in class. You're like, yeah, sure.
What he said.
Yeah.
What she said.
Like, he's gonna point this one. He's gonna point. But I honestly, because of that travel, that global immersion, we came back.
So you're traveling the world. As part of your program, you go to China, Barcelona, all of these places, right? And you're on scholarship, and like, of course, scholarship is helping with all of. I'm saying that because a lot of Zimbabweans might be listening. They'll be like, "Hey, can I actually afford to do?" It's like, listen, the scholarships are given for these things. So you're traveling the world on scholarships.
Everything's paid for. So all your tuition pays for the flights, the hotels, the food. And you live a good life, It's a good life. It's and it was, just to like the day looked like me getting up at whatever, like 6:30 and then we have breakfast, smart business casual breakfast. Everyone's there. Go to class. From a couple of hours, you do class, and you're always in groups. So you've got like core members.
All team-based.
Yeah.
It's all team-based, sure.
And you basically also have a consulting project. Maybe you're doing it for this company, this US company who's trying to penetrate the Shanghai market. So you're doing research for that. You're doing field trips, and you're doing, you're staying up you have lunch, you have dinner. You stay up, you're doing group work. Sometimes you stay up till like 12. Sometimes you stay up till 2. It's hectic. It's hectic, but you're thriving. I was thriving. I was like loving it.
This is tough, but goodness me, it's work, but it doesn't even feel like it. I'm learning so much. It's like unbelievable.
Yeah, and to the point about my classmates, when we got back from that experience, we during sport you do these tours and stuff, and then you create this bond and camaraderie. Yes, that's exactly what happened with this. And we came back, and remember sitting in class, and the banter is going back and forth because we just traveled the world together. And the professors, literally every professor was like, I've never seen a group this cohesive before.
Come in through the gate because of all of these things.
Like, people would say something, someone would be like, yeah, well, like we were just feeding off each other. Professors were like, wow, you guys are close, Other MBA cohorts, the one above us, was like, you guys are really close.
So you guys are tight. And it's because of this new program, this global leadership, that's why it was almost got you.
And we had our group had, doctors, business people,
all of it,
social entrepreneurs, like it had everyone, and everyone is so talented, and everyone is bringing something to the table, So it was a great experience. And then the thing that happens there is you start looking into yourself as well. You start being reflective. Because you see so many amazing people around you, and you're like, okay, well, who am I? Like, what am I?
What are I bringing to this environment? Yes.
Exactly. Which is a good thing to go through, I think. So it was great. I really, really enjoyed it, and I think the people that were there, they definitely added a lot to me as well.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we had, COVID. We started like this, like a jet going off, and then COVID hit.
And the world was what it was. Yeah,
exactly. But
but from all in all,
yes,
that's cool. I think you mentioned that's amazing. Firstly, and then you mentioned a point around you came back from touring the world together, and you came back so tight. And what came to my mind was sport. And like, how when a team goes on, rugby team goes on tour, any sports team goes on tour, and they kind of come back from a tour, it's just like you create so many memories in those particular touring experiences and they forge bonds for life, right?
Yeah.
The question I have was, what and then the second point you mentioned was around, you had to have time to think of what I bring to a table, given all of these environments that people are coming from. Given your, like, I guess, majority sporting background before you came there, what do you think the distinct flavor that you brought to that cohort was, given your particular background? Because some people might be like, business school, in what world am I, what I'm saying? Either I'm playing for older Orients or in Bulawayo or for OGs.
Yeah.
It's like the delta just seems so, like the delta just seems so high from there to there.
Yeah.
But that's a real thing that might happen for them. So what do you think your unique flavor that you added was?
To me, I don't think that's for me to say. I don't know if I can say I brought this to the table.
Sure.
I will. Okay, so
because someone else might see it better than you do it yourself.
Yeah. There was a moment where I don't even I actually have, I was thinking back here, I might have I made our group, our core team group had these cards.
Yes.
I told everyone to write what everyone means, or what they've given to the group over the well, it was over the trip.
The trip, sure.
And I got 3 of them. So if I find them, I might read them to you, and then you can judge for yourself what I brought to the group.
Do you remember what it was broadly?
Yeah, I think it was more of being, being not necessarily the glue, but someone who brings people together. Also, someone who is, and it just came from someone who's understanding of different people and cultures, and therefore can mediate across different parties for a common goal. And can lead that way. So it was mainly, it was mainly that that came through, I think.
That's awesome. Now on that point, I'm going to take it back, because I think there's a reason why that is that skill set was able to present itself in that way. And I think in many ways it's because of your history and this interesting path that you've traversed that has kind of led you to that particular point, right? I mean, I'll take it back to say, where were you born, first and foremost? And where did you grow up? Where did you go to school?
I was born in Bulawayo, Baba, city of kings and queens.
Of course. Proud Ndebele man.
Yeah.
Proud Ndebele man.
Yeah, no, I was born in Bulawayo. I was there. When I think of like, where I'm from, that's definitely it.
Yes.
But then, my dad worked in the bank in Barclays, so he was always put in a different branch. So I started at an early age moving around. So I was 7 when I first moved, and we went to Karoi.
Karoi at 7. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So I went to Karoi Primary School, was there for like 3 years.
Really? From grade 1 you're in Karoi? I didn't even know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just it's a weird place.
What was that like? I mean, it's a long time ago, but what was it like? It's farming community for the most part, right? I think.
It's a farming community. There's 2 schools. There's Karoi Primary School and there's Ridings. Ridings is like the the private school, and I went to the Karoi Primary School. I just remember I used to walk to school. I remember there was just always like trucks, like lorries, like the big 14ers, just like coming through, parking.
Yes.
And I remember the Majanji. There was so much.
So many Majanji,
It was interesting. It was interesting. That was my first time, because this is my first time I had to adapt and start speaking Shona. So I was like,
really, because you're speaking in the Bela the whole time up until
So I was like, okay, I need to survive here. I need to start speaking Shona. And when you're in those schools, when you're in those government schools, there's like 56 of you in the class, 60 of you in the class, just packed into this class. So you need to learn how to adapt. And then, I did. And then following that, we went to Mutare. And then that's when I went to Hillcrest.
So you've been traveling. It's actually it's a way of life, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Sure. So you go from Karoi to Mutare.
Yeah.
But did Hillcrest have a primary school? Sorry, forgive my ignorance. I didn't know they had a primary school.
Yeah. So, it was a very good primary school. And that was the first time I had to learn to speak English. I was like, because everything was in English. Wild. I assume you went and you had spoke. Okay. So you don't have spoken now. It's from grade 4. Yeah. Because I was speaking, I was speaking English. I went like Karoi and in Bulawayo, we were speaking English. I could speak English.
Right.
In Bulawayo, everything was taught in Ndebele. Yes. And then we would learn English. Everything in Karoi was taught in Shona.
Then you would learn
English.
Yes.
In Hillcrest, everything was in English.
It was English.
Yeah.
And they throw in some whatever. I would say maybe some Shona on the side there, but that's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
okay.
I was like, okay, I need to adjust. Now we have to, do everything in English.
Yes.
And that was amazing. It was great. Went up to Form 1 there. Met my best friend Tane, who was going to be influential, on the trajectory of where I was going next.
Your life.
Yeah.
And Tane was a Zimbabwean guy. Where was he from?
He was Welsh.
And he was at Hillcrest. He was at Hillcrest.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he still is Welsh. It's not like he changed.
They changed. But he's but he's from Welsh descent. Okay, sure.
Yeah, Welsh descent. Mom worked in the National Museum, and so they were in
Mutare. I know there's a museum out in Mutare.
Yeah,
I have a cousin that used to work there. Okay, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so met him, and he was going to have a huge impact on my life.
Sorry, question on this point. His mother was Tare's. Him and his mom came from Wales.
So
work and I'm saying it because I'm interested. There's a Welsh woman that is pushing Zimbabwean culture. That's interesting, right? It's just very interesting.
Well, she's actually not. She wasn't. Well, she was Kiwi, but married a Welsh man and moved to Wales.
Yes.
But they got separated, and Tane's grandfather, who was Tane's mom's dad, his name is Cyril, and he's a very prominent person in Zimbabwe with actually the museum, and had good relations with the government as well. So Zimbabwe was somewhere that they were akin to because of that relationship with the grandfather. Yeah.
Interesting. I remember there was a big push around post-independence to really push museums across the country, because the importance of museums to kind of preserve culture and narrative and story. So I just find that interesting that that's what they were doing. Okay, that's terrific. And Tane, you beat him there in Form 1. And then how long were you guys together there at Hillcrest?
Well, I met him in grade 5. And we just went up, we grew up, started, our parents just let us play together. So, and then he moves to Harare to go to HIS in Form 1. And I'm doing Form 1 in Mutare. And I'll go back and forth to go see him in Harare. And then my dad gets moved to Harare. So now I moved to Harare. And the funny thing to me is both Tane and I did entrance exams in Heritage.
Interesting.
Yeah. We did
the entrance exam for grade 1 or for grade 1 or for what grade?
Oh, for Form
1.
Form 1. It was actually Form 1. It was, we did entrance exams for Heritage, and I believe you went to Heritage in primary school.
Yes, absolutely. My fondest, I was speaking to Friar Derek yesterday, and we were both just reminiscing, those are some of our fondest memories at that school. Literally, if I look at my closest friends today, if you look at often the way, in many ways, out of all the schools I've gone to, a lot of it is kind of stems from those first 4 years of grade 1 to 4. I had a real fond memories there, and wherever I go in the world, they're always in London or wherever. I'm you guys are everywhere. But I went there for a good 4 years of my life. Amazing times. Okay. So you guys did the Instagram, but it didn't really. You end up going he went to HIS, and then you went
to Gateway.
To Gateway. Once you're in Harare.
I went to Gateway. Then Form 2 up to Form first term of lower 6 in Gateway.
What was Gateway? And were you playing rugby this whole time at Gateway, or was that the first time you started playing?
I was playing. So I played rugby in Hillcrest, and in Gateway now I was playing soccer, cricket, rugby, and was loving sport. Just loved sport.
That was just love playing sport.
Yeah.
And was it ever a career? Was it everything you want to do as a career, or were you just kind of playing for the enjoyment at this stage?
I was enjoying it for the escape and enjoyment. It wasn't a career at this point. And then I visited, I went to Wales for the first time with Tane when I was 13, and we played some rugby there. And, first time I was in Wales, it was amazing. I remember flying over, some football or soccer stadiums, and I was like, hey, this is it, man. This is it. And then, we landed, and everyone, because obviously Wales is, crazy about rugby. It's their national sport. They eat things. They love it. They love it. And we'll go to the park and play around, and people will be like, wow, you're good. You're good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Just Bulawayo boy just kind of throwing a ball, but this is you're not bad.
Yeah. And then after that, I think I started taking it seriously a little bit. And Tane was, we were very competitive. When we played, he was an amazing cricketer. and we would play one-on-one against each other. You know, like we would be at home and we would play for hours, like hours, just playing against each other. And to the point where, you know, I remember in primary school when it was inter-house day, and Tane was in a different house and I was in a different house. And he was batting and I was bowling, or it would be me batting or him bowling. And everyone knew, because we did this every day. Like, this was our life. Everyone would be like, these guys are gonna go at it again.
What's quite like, the boys.
like we knew each other's weaknesses. We went hard at each other, like hard. So that competitive drive definitely was fueled by him. And then we went to Wales, and I was like, you know, he'd be like, we'll be playing cricket, playing rugby, and that's when I was like, you know, you could maybe this rugby thing or the sport thing you could go far.
You're saying this to him or to yourself at this stage? To myself.
Okay, sure. Because and then just started training harder, and I ended up finishing high school. I left Gateway and went to Llandafri College, which is in Wales.
So is that how you say, when you say L is in LL Welsh, it's Llandafri?
Llandafri.
Well, these Welsh is a wild. It's interesting. I love it. And wait, so of course, Tane, of course, there's a Welsh influence that's really pulling you, of course, through Tane. And how did that conversation even have so basically he says, look, maybe look at Llandafri College as a place to go after Gateway to do your A levels or something like that. Is that how the conversation went?
His mom was like, you know, we should really think about this, because she valued our friendship, you know. She thought our friendship was good for each other. You know, even when things went bad, you know, like in Zim, because, you know, I had friends from Gateway. Most of them were black. Tane had friends from HIS. Most of them were white. Like, none of them could invite one without the other. None. Like, no one. If you're inviting Tane, I'm coming. If you're inviting me, Tane is coming. And it was like, and it was like a, you know, even in Hillcrest, I used to bring a soccer ball because my dad plays soccer, you know. And we used to have games. We would pick two teams. My team, I would always pick a team, and there was always an extra spot, even if Tane wasn't there. Like, if we're picking 7 people, I'll pick 6 because Tane would come. And, like, you know,
it was my guy's coming. This is my guy.
It was just like that. We were like that with each other. So her mom, Tane's mom, was like, you know, you guys should look into, you know, a high school in Wales, because they had moved back there.
I see. Okay.
And I was like, okay. And then, you know, a couple of people have seen me play. They vouched. And, you know, Tane's mom helped a lot. Tane's family helped. And I finally, the school took a chance, and I went there. And I found out it was, you know, one of the best rugby schools in Wales.
This is huge. So you get it. So you get there when you're 17. You're 17, 18 when you get there.
About to turn. I'm just turned 17. And
that's wonderful. When you get there, and then I remember, I think I saw a photo of your high school team, and some of the people that are in that high school. I said, goodness me, these are like some iconic Welsh players now. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like I saw like, I think George North was in that team. Who got on one of the greatest Welsh rugby players ever to play the game. I think Jack Roberts was one of them, who was playing for Leicester. I don't know who he's playing for now. Cardiff. I don't forget. Maybe Cardiff.
Yeah, he was at Cardiff. He just moved back to Jersey now. But he was at Blues.
Was back for Jersey. So just a lot of. I don't know who else was there that you kind of who people don't know.
Rodri Jones. Rodri Jones is, I think, he's in the current Welsh squad, the prop. We had, and you know, everyone was talented. We had such a good team. You know, we had some good players come through, like James, Dan, Neelands. You know, we had a very good team, and we loved the banter. We still stay in touch, and everyone talks. but we became really good friends.
Yeah.
And so I arrived there, and second winter now that I arrived there, and everyone's in this training barn, like pre-season training, taking things seriously. All these people have come in and they've met, and I'm there like, hoodie, woolen hat, gloves, big jacket, and I'm just like jogging.
What is my life? I'm in the middle of Wales.
Exactly.
What is going on?
And it ended up being, some of the best years of my life. And it was tough though, like transitioning, because at first I was the only black guy in the whole school. I was the only black guy.
Only black guy in the whole. She just stick out like a sore thumb. Just goodness me. And what was that? Was that like a bit of a culture shock? Was there a significant culture shock?
It was, and it was because I was in this place, and I was the only person of color in the whole school.
The family's back home still. Your mom and dad. Yeah.
Everyone, my mind, like that's when I started thinking in English. I remember.
Really? You could actually think like distinctly, okay, now I'm thinking in English. And that was Wales. And Wales is the first time that flipped.
Yeah. And I even remember asking my mom, because we used to go to chapel and we used to say the Lord's Prayer. And I remember telling my mom, I was like, Mom, can I get the Lord's Prayer in Ndebele? Because I want to
preserve a sense of my identity.
Exactly. I was like, I want to, say it in Ndebele.
Yeah.
People saying it in English or Welsh, and I'm tired.
Yes.
I just want to say it in Ndebele. And she was like, okay. And she sent me this thing about the Welsh, the Zimbabwean Ndebele Lord's Prayer.
The Lord's Prayer, and that's phenomenal.
But it was great.
But for the most part, it was great. You made great friends.
Yeah, amazing. Good opportunities.
Yes, but do you not want? And then, of course, now you do your 2 years. Do you not want to? You're playing good rugby, I assume, at this stage. What was the kind of when you got to the end of that journey? Was it like, okay, do I go to a Welsh uni? Do I? Yeah. What now for me at this stage?
There's a story that I promised God that I'd always tell people, and it's quite a phenomenal story. But it's so I'm finishing high school now. I'm training with the Llandavri Rugby Club. It's myself, George, and Rodri. Yes. I think we're training with the Llandavri Rugby Club. George gets gets named for the weekend, and we're still in school.
Name for Wales or for
the club? For the club.
The club, sure.
We're still in school, and obviously, George is, Scarlet under 18.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And so is Rodri. I think he's Ospreys under 18 at the time and stuff. And George gets named in the weekend squad. Kills it. Kills it. Rodri's doing well. I think Jack is playing in Llanelli. He's doing well. So people are starting to play for these clubs whilst they're still in school, but they're finishing up. And I'm training with Llandavri, and they name me for the weekend to play. And then but they're like, we can't find your what's it called, sign. I think it's like a sign paper, because I'd signed
is it like an indemnity form of some sort or something else?
Almost like an affiliation for a club.
Okay, sure.
I forgot what you call it, but I had there was a club called Rumney that I was playing with in Cardiff. That was like a level below, but they needed to transfer me to Llandavri, but they couldn't find my paperwork.
Yes.
So that happened for 2 weeks straight, where they were trying to play me, and it was like it wasn't happening. So I was like, what is going on?
What's going on?
Yeah. So at this point, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to Cardiff. I'm gonna take a gap year. I start working at Cardiff Arms Park, which is where
at the stadium, Millennium Stadium.
Yeah. And as I'm working, George is blowing up, and he gets like it happened in such, you don't understand.
He took the world by fire. I remember saying 19-year-old Wales wing, and he did
it like in such a short space of time. Like it was ridiculous. And so he gets his first cap. He's named for the weekend, and then I'm working at Cardiff Arms Park, but he's got me a ticket. So he's like, "Come watch," and I'm like, "Okay." I'm working at the bar, blah, blah, and I'm like, "Okay, game's about to start. I need to bounce." They're like, "Okay, cool." Go over. Literally, the stadium right next to it is Millennium Stadium. Go in, and I'm sitting there, and the ticket he's got me is like with the wags. So all the players,
all the wives and girlfriends,
all the players' wives are like all next to me, and I'm like, Jesus. And then I'm just like watching. And against South Africa, your boy scores a try. Boom, go crazy. Scores another try. Boom, I go crazy. I'm like, this guy is gonna.
I was playing with the whole guys guy like. I was playing with him for a few days. What do you mean? This is my guy. So I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And he's doing well. I go back and I'm like, okay, I need to get my shit in order. Jack is killing it. Rodri's killing it. Are you inspired or are you jealous at this stage?
That's a good question.
Or both.
I think I was inspired. I think a friend of mine, Dan, who was also in the same team. I think at this point, he talked to me because I was quite disappointed that things weren't working as well. And then he just goes, "Yo, not everyone can be a George North." He literally just said that. He's like, "Not everyone can be a George North."
It's true.
And it was so true.
And there are very few, of them. And this it was only one. From one.
And it was so true. And I was like, yeah, man, okay. Yeah, you're right. So start applying for universities. And then at this point, this is where the story gets interesting, because I'm applying for universities. And I get an email from the Zimbabwe under-20 coaches. Because at this point, I played for under-19s. I'd actually played for under-19s a year early.
In Zim. This is in Zim. Sure.
So I was with Dante, Marco,
with Marco, and that team
together. He goes.
Marco Mama, who now plays for Worcester. Well, just so everyone has context, Marco plays for Worcester. Okay, cool. So they can email you and say, "Hey,"
and they're like, "We want you to come for the training squad for the Junior World Trophy." And then it says all these things, congratulations. And then at the end, it just goes, if you are not able to come, then by this date, it will affect your selection moving forward. And I was like, okay, that means I have to go. But then at the same time, I had just handed in my passport so that I could try renew my visa to stay in the UK, because my visa had just run out.
Yeah,
it's just like
tricky. It's tricky.
So they've given me a date.
So you're saying, so you had a deadline with this. You had a crossroads where you say, I either take the gamble and go to Zim and see what that will be, or I stay in Wales and go to uni and then figure out this thing from here.
Figure these things out. Maybe play for a team. Keep on
whatever.
But I'm in the UK.
The Zimbabwean. You made it out, right? You're out there. Whatever.
So I speak to Tana's mom, and because I've been staying with them, and speak to family, friends, and the logical thing here is just to
track on.
Just track on. Just keep doing what you're doing. Pray about it, and I'm like, you know what? This is an opportunity. Junior World Trophy. It'll be in Georgia. In Tbilisi. Get this. It could open other opportunities. Tane's mom's like, yeah, I mean, I agree, but the decision's yours. So I'm like, you know what? Gamble. Let's go.
I'm going to Zim.
I'm going to Zim. So
Bold.
I pack my bags, I book a flight on a Tuesday, I think. The flight's for Tuesday. It is Friday. I pack my bags, I get a train, I go to London. I stay with my friend Dan Newlands.
Yes.
But on the Friday, we get there, and I basically have to try go get my passport on the same day. So I've got my suitcase. I'm going through. I don't know if you've been to Croydon, but it's
I haven't, but sure. There's a market there and all that stuff. Sure.
Yeah. So you like. I've got this bag, the suitcase. I'm dragging it around. I've got Dan with me, and we go to Croydon, and we're on a mission. We're trying to get my passport back so I can go back to it. And so we get there. We get to Croydon, and then we're just like, hey, my name is Lungile. I need my passport. I need to go back to Zim. And they asked me some questions like, why do you need your passport? It's like,
yes.
Why travel? And then they're like, why did you? Why is your passport here? And I was like, it's for visa, to get a visa. And then they're like, so your passport, it's when your passport gets sent here, it doesn't stay in Croydon. It has to go through this. It's probably in these places to get validated and checked. And there's no way your passport is here. And then I'm like, shit, like this is gonna be an opportunity missed. And I'm like, I walk over to go sit down, and as I'm walking over, Dan now is like, shouting at these people, like, you know what? He's Cockney, so
cussing them out, like whatever.
And he's just, you know what? My friend came here, and he's just like going off, shouting. He's like this short guy. And I'm sitting there, and I literally pray to me. I pray so hard, and I'm like, God, if you do not want me to go back to Zim, then that's fine. I'll take the suitcase and I'll go back to Cardiff and I'll keep on going.
It's easy.
But if in any way you want me to go back to Zim for this opportunity, then just let me know. And I'm just sitting there. This woman comes up, and then she's like, what did you say your name was? And I was like, Lungile Tshuma. And then they're like, this has never happened before, but we have your passport here. And I was like, hey, this is
Zim it is then.
Zim it is. Get my passport. Dan is like, yeah, I told you.
This is very unorthodox, by the way. Or at least from the standard narrative, where the narrative is typically is you go to Zimbabwe, you lodge your passport, you stay, and then that's it. You're there for 5-10 years. That's it. Yeah. You're saying they look at you like this person's coming out to get his passport back.
Yeah.
Is he sure?
Exactly. Like the process will be cancelled. I was like, yeah, that's all.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, cool. Let's do it.
Yeah. Got my passport. Stayed at Dan's the weekend. Flew back to Zim. Landed. Training with the squad. There's about 45 of us or something. All training, it's tough. Yes. First cut, they cut 5 people. And
you haven't even made the squad at this day. Oh, you're invited, but you haven't even made the squad.
I haven't made the squad. And then, they cut the first 5 people. And then, just training. You know how it is. It's deep in those trainings.
I did one.
Yeah.
It's tough. They're tough. They're tough.
No. We're there. And then we're going at it, and then they cut someone else, and then they cut someone else, else. And there's like 28 of us left or something. And I think they had to do one last cut. Lungile. And they're like, well, you're not, we don't think you're, showing the qualities that we had hoped, especially in these areas. So because of that, we're cutting you from the squad. Highball. And I'm just like,
what? and bear in mind, there's no beyond this. There's no real thing. Like this is the thing we're doing. There's no real. Oh, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to do this. This is the thing that has to work out.
This is it. And I get cut. Get home. I'm like, I'm in disbelief. My mom's just like, I've never seen him like this.
And how are they feeling about all of this decision of yours? Are they quite good at that kind of stuff and say, hey, it's your life?
Zim parents. You know, I
that's what I'm saying. This is what I said to him like, what's wrong with this guy? Like, he's not thinking. Yeah. He's not
like they're just like, look, you know, you just, what if, you know how cautious they are and at this point they were right. You know, I'd thrown away an opportunity to get a visa in a country that got more opportunities and, you know, and I was there with nothing. I didn't have a spot in the squad. I didn't have a visa. I was in Zim and Harare doing nothing. And, you know, it got to me. And I went on a rage of like, my prayers were now rage of like, how could you even, you know.
It's like I prayed to you. I asked you, if you think I should be in Zim, show me the passport. I give you my passport. I come here. I do the things. Yeah. Now you're here telling me that I can't.
Exactly. And then I'm just like, you know what?
We've been there. We've all been there. I've been there.
And then
yeah,
someone sent me someone in Wales had been part of this church. They sent me a verse for some reason. They just sent me like, hey, I think this verse would be good for you. I read this verse a lot, and it's
what is the verse?
Isaiah chapter 41, verses 9 to 13. I'll read it to you now. It basically, after, you know, I was in this hole, and for some reason this person's like, hey, you should look at this verse. So I go, you know, in the middle of the night, just before bed, I'm like, okay, whatever. So I look at this verse, and this is what it says.
Is it not even youths grow tired and weary? Or was a different one?
Which one?
Even youths grow tired and weary, and sometimes young men stumble and fall.
No.
But it's not that one. Okay.
No.
That's Isaiah 40, I think. That's Isaiah 40. But anyway, it's you.
I took you from the ends of the earth, from its farthest corners. I called you. I said you are my servant. I have chosen you and have not rejected you. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. All who rage against you will surely be ashamed and disgraced. Those who oppose you will be as nothing and perish. Though you search for your enemies, you will not find them. Those who wage war against you will be as nothing at all. For I am the Lord your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you.
Wow.
So I read that.
That's a word.
Yeah.
That's a word.
Yeah.
That's a word. So you read this thing and say, okay, this is a word.
Yeah. I was like, okay, we'll live with that one. We'll live with that one. And I'm just like, you know what? Let's just do what we can. I go to OH. I go throw the ball around with OH. And then this is I think 2 weeks before the under-20 team goes to Tbilisi.
Yes.
They had put together a select team, an under-21 select team.
To almost play against the main side and kind of
to play at Kotko, before they leave. And they're like, we want you to play for the select team. I was like, ball. Sure.
Let's do it.
Yeah. And I remember my first touch of the game, the ball got kicked. I was a fullback. It was a high up and under, like a high one. It was like, and this is at Kotko. So everyone's just like there, just
everybody. Iconic event, yeah.
Balls in the air, and I'm looking at it, and I look down, and I see like Kodachiwanza at full pace,
at full tilt,
going. And I'm like, oh my god! And I didn't jump. I just like caught it, and then I just like, because Kuda was going fast and he was about to like smash me, and I just like did a little like step to the right. Kuda just went. Yeah,
yeah. It was
and
like,
I was like,
no.
this is gonna be a good game. It's a good game.
Yeah.
Sometime into the game, do a move, a score, and start kicking, and get some points. Game ends 21-all, and I just like kicked the 3 points to draws. And then
the Stormer. Yeah, the Stormer.
I had a good game. I felt good. Felt good. And then people are like, "How old is that kid?" And they're like, he's I think he's 19 or. As we in the World Cup here in front of
say I said now, like
people start talking.
Yeah.
And and someone was like, when God gives you things, it gives them to you in abundance. So that game was after the game, the Cheetahs head coach at the time was like, "Hey, you should come train with us." Sable's head coach was like, "Mfana, you should come train with us at some point." And then Sharks were there. They're like, "Hey, we want you to come to Durban." And we want you to play for they're like, "We want you to come, to Durban. We think it'd be good for the under-21 team, for the academy first, and then we'll see how you go for the under-21 team." It's like, okay. And then the coaches came back like, "Mfana, that's what we were talking about. See you at training on Monday." Just like that. I was back.
Wow.
The boy was back.
Boom. We're back. We're in the squad. Then we take that jet plane.
Yeah.
Take it to the World Cup.
Got the starting number, got the starting bag. Yeah.
Look at God. Jeez. Yeah. That's epic. So that's for like a phenomenal story, by the way.
Thanks for listening.
No, it's a phenomenal story. I think there's something that kind of sticks out to me, because I was speaking to, as I was saying, Frank Eric yesterday, and I think the Zimbabwe U20 as a platform, I think the more I speak to people, like, it's actually like a significant platform for a lot of people. You'd think, it's just maybe it's not a national team like senior level, but for him, that platform helped expose him to playing in France. Like literally, that just playing there led to France and all of these other things. So I'm saying for you as well, it's like, geez, you're playing in that kind of environment where it's trials, matches, and things like that. You've got the Sables, the Cheetahs, the Sharks rugby team saying, let's talk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which I have for you is, of course, like, we're still, of course, we've done that. We go on the World Cup and it becomes what it is. But then we still have to, I guess, I don't know if the thinking at this time was building a professional rugby life at this stage. Like, what was like the idea beyond the under 20? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, now we're in. Now we're like, okay, we want the professional life. We want the sponsored car. We want the
whole the bags, the kits,
the kit, the everything where you can walk in and grab. The free supplements. The life.
The free supplements. It's so true, though. It's so true. It's literally like that. Maybe one day I can get free supplements.
Yeah.
Sponsored car. Adidas will sponsor my kit.
Yeah.
And life is good, and I'm good. You know what I'm saying? What more can I need? What more can I need?
So now I'm in it. I'm in the dream. I'm in the pipeline. I'm in the dream.
Yeah, in the pipeline. I can see it.
Yeah.
Went to Sharks. Beast made it. Maybe even me, I can also do this thing.
Yeah. So now you have to. The thing you have to realize with athletes is that here in the United States, I think football players have about a 2% chance of making it to the NFL.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole country. It's not a lot. Out of 100 people, 2 will make it to the NFL. Out of 1,000 people, 20. Like that's
minuscule. It's minute. It's slim chances.
Yeah. And it's a very, very tough and competitive thing to make it as a pro athlete. But even if you give those stats to those people, try telling them, you're not going to make it because the stats are low. the thing is, you have to believe you're going to be the one, that 2%. Otherwise, nothing is worth it. So even so when I was there, even going to the Sharks, I'm like, I'm gonna be the one that's gonna make it.
I'm gonna make it. Yeah.
I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna get the contract. I'm going to play for this. I'm like, you have to believe that, even if the odds are stacked against you. Otherwise, there's no point of being in the
There's
fight.
no point even for sure.
Yeah.
Fully.
So it was, you know, it was going to be. It was definitely going to be a struggle. But when I got to the Sharks, you know, I was a no name, but I got there with, you know, Kuda, Chiwanza, Budzwa, Linians.
These are all other Sables guys, other Zimbabwe players. Yeah.
So, you know, it was a, you know, I had some people there, and it was tough. It was real tough. It was real competitive. Just when I thought I was gonna get a break, you know, I broke my jaw. First under 21 trials, first touch. Someone grabbed the ball through. I slid to pick it up, and someone came in knees first, and I broke my jaw. So it was, you know, I missed the whole under 21 season. I was watching from the stand. And at this point, I'm like, you know what? I don't know.
Is this the thing?
Is this it? Is this it? And then I had to come back. The Sharks flew me to the Leopards. I went to the Leopards. They put me up in a hotel, and I did training with them. Actually, did training with Paka as well for a day. Had Rassi train us.
The Rassi Erasmus.
It was cool. Had a good, like, I was back in form because I'd been training. But I wasn't, you know, I thought I had a good training session, and I went back. Told the Sharks that I'm like, I think I'm done with the Sharks. You know, I was here for the under 21. There's no point.
No point. I think I'm okay now.
Yeah. So I left. I went back to Zim, and then I thought I was gonna sign a contract with Leopards because I had a good show out there. Yeah. Then they were like, yeah, we'll send you some paperwork, and it never came.
Nothing came.
And then I was just like, yo. So I was like, you know what? Gonna be with all the Hararians for a little bit and spend some time in Zim. Train hard. I did, you know, I did well. I think I scored 16 tries in the season. I was
good shot.
We won the title. Had some good people around me, like to you know, guide me. Had the Gardners, had the T-Max, had the
T-Max,
you know, the
icons.
Yeah.
OH icons.
Yeah.
OH legends. Yeah.
The way you screw up, they're like, "You fine, we do." You know, and we won the title. It was because that was a good game as well. And then I ended up getting my caps, first Zim caps.
Zim caps through that.
Through that, I got selected. So now I'm going at it, and then in the middle, I'm just like, this has just been for me. It's rugby's for me, and then it joins to what I was talking about earlier, the realization about business and how there's more to me than just rugby.
Sure.
Expand into it. Otherwise, you know, I'm never going to be a Sonny Bill. I'm never going to be a Dan Carter or you know, a Pocock or a Beast.
So you start thinking, what can life look like outside of this environment that I've been kind of exposed to for like the past few years of my life, right?
Yeah.
And what was that manifestation? Was that like school? Was that other things? You know, what was the kind of that outlet that you used during that Sables journey and whatnot?
Yeah, it was school. I needed to you know, further the education and expand. And I went to Lindenwood University to do international relations and geography.
And Lindenwood, which is where in the United States, right?
In the States, yeah. So,
and why there? And I know they've got like a very great rugby program, but how did that even come on your radar?
yeah. So I was applying to a couple of places. I applied to University of Cape Town.
Yes.
You applied to Maastricht, where your sister is.
Yes, Maastricht, yeah, in the Netherlands, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I applied to back in Wales, I think to University of UWIC.
UWIC, yeah.
And then someone was like, hey, there's this school called Lindenwood, they play rugby. Like, okay, back to Lindenwood.
Let's apply, let's see.
And I applied to all those schools. A week later, Lindenwood hits me up. Okay, let's talk. I was like, okay. And things start moving and moving and moving, and I get accepted. Plane ticket, blah, blah.
Now we're on a jet, leaving on a jet plane to go to the coming to America.
Coming to America.
Coming to America.
Like I said,
Akeem.
I was born in the city of kings and queens, so I was
kings and queens. Prince of Zimbabwe.
Yeah,
Prince of Zimbabwe.
All right. And then I was like, okay, let's do this. And I actually went through quite a good time because I was able to balance school and playing for Sables. So I would travel. I would literally do school and then would get sent programs, and I had trainers in Lindenwood that would be training me for like an international test match where I'd be sending back results, and then I'll fly, I'll meet the team.
But you'd come in good physical condition. You'd come in good physical condition, and then also you're getting the academic side as well and exploring other parts of yourself. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And I remember one year I was so tired. I was so tired because I'd just done a year, like I was doing school, and then I was doing playing for Lindenwood. And then after playing for Lindenwood, I had to prepare for like test matches. And then they were in Hong Kong. I went to Hong Kong, played, went back to the US, finished my exams, and then went back to Zim. And I swear I slept for like 16 hours when I got back.
Just dead.
I was just
physically
dead.
Exhausted.
Yeah, I was so tired, and my body was aching. Hey?
Yes,
it was bad, and you feel it now. My body was taking it like hits. So yeah, that's when I decided, there's more to me, and I need to explore it. I need to dare to explore it.
So. And I kind of remember going through something similar where there's an athlete mindset where there's this obsession. It's almost, and you have to be like, you have to almost have like this single-minded, obsessive way of living to, of course, try and make it as a professional because the chances are so slim.
Yeah.
But whether it's through injuries, I know like for myself, you get to a point where there are injuries and you realize like I'm not as good as I was. Yeah. And like there's that hard conversation you have to have with yourself to be like, Chief, we're nice, but like we are okay, but to play at the elite level, that's not quite there anymore. And I know that there's almost like a transformational experience that has to happen into kind of exploring what else life could be like beyond sport. What was that like for you? Because I think there might be many athletes who are like, you almost get trapped in a prison. You say like, well, I don't know if I can do anything else, quite frankly, beyond this thing that I've committed my whole existence to. So what was that experience like for you? Or was it as deep as I'm making it seem, or not really as much?
No, it's definitely.
Or what advice, could you give to someone in a similar predicament?
Yeah, I think it is as deep as you say. And complete full disclosure, I'm still going through it. I'm still going through that transition. And it doesn't stop. I've got a fiance who's going through it as well, because she was you
have a what? Sorry, you have a what? You have a what?
I don't know. Cut off there. Did you?
We'll talk after. But that was new information. That's new information. What? That we'll talk after.
Yeah.
I was like, wait. Let's just. Well, congratulations, first and foremost. Congratulations. But we'll talk after. Anyway, so you have a fiance
who's also
yeah,
through the same. She was a synchronized swimmer. She was in the Olympic team, ended up not going. And then
Olympic team for the United States. It's for the US.
Yeah. Ended up not going, and she was. And then she tried again recently, and she fell short. But it's still the constant. Like, I don't know how many times I've thought, maybe I can just
just like it's nagging. Yes.
Like, I'll just make a comeback. Let me go train harder. Let me, But it's tough. It's tough, and I think it comes from, like you were saying, everything I was doing every day was towards that singular goal of being a professional rugby player. What I was eating, what I was consuming in terms of, mentally, who I was around, the decisions I was making a decision whether to go out or not go out. Who I was
training. It's like, guys, I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
I'm training. Yeah. It's like
every single thing was towards that. So now to say, okay, now that's part of me, that's done, and move on to the next thing. You're starting from zero.
It's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah. And did you have this? I guess you were schooling, which was quite helpful. But did you have this? I don't know if the word is like imposter syndrome in a way, where you kind of go into like the working world and you kind of dedicate all of your time, energy, and efforts and thoughts to sport. Then you will look at the other side, and everyone has these other skill sets that make them very well suited to the working world. And you're like, goodness me, I don't have.
Yeah.
And they come, of course, with exposure.
But they've been cultivating.
People have been, and not even like just in varsity, like from high school, because the professional sporting pursuit doesn't just start at varsity. It starts literally 13, 14, 15. It's like a mindset. So these other people have been kind of dedicating their existence to academics, studying, just grinding at this. So by the time they're 20, 24, 23, their skill set is so sharp.
Yeah.
And you're looking like, goodness me.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have been doing that, And of course, there's no singular path to everybody. But did you almost have like, I don't know, imposter syndrome is a word to some degree, to be like, goodness me, how am I ever going to match up? Some of these folks.
I definitely did. And, there's a lot of, especially confidence, my man. Confidence was such a big thing. There's a consulting saying that you rather be wrong but confident rather than right, but like not confident.
So even just confidence in and of itself, whether you're wrong or right, is like just be confident.
And when you're trying to now break into this new you or new world, that confidence is about, like, every day you're like hyping yourself up, like, no, you got it, okay, just speak with tone of voice. You're always monitoring your tone of voice, the speed is what you say things, or what time you say it. Like, you're like, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And it's tough. It is really tough. But I think what helped was knowing that I had, there's certain characteristics that came from the sporting world.
Good point. What was transferable? Because they have to be takeouts in any things that can be transferred. What were your transferable things?
I think the team not letting other people down was a big thing. That can be taken in a couple of ways, but if I'm in a team, whether it be business or whatever it is, I'm a huge team player, and I don't want to let anyone down. Like, I don't want to, because that comes from the rugby mentality of, if you're not doing your job, then everyone
doing a disservice to your teammate, because now you're making it hard for everyone.
Yeah. I think that was one thing, and I think the discipline of, you called it an obsession before. If I know what I can be obsessed about, I will be. If I know the ins and outs of, if I went to real estate, and yes, the the first year or months I'll be learning things, but once I know the ins and outs, I can, because of that athletic background, I can be obsessive about it the same way I was, which means that my learning becomes a lot faster than other people who may be in the industry. It's sometimes can be unhealthy, but in a way, it's like, I even used it in an interview that I just can't wait to be obsessed with something else rather than rugby.
In this, because if I can take all the energy that I have with this and then use it here and then say, oh, goodness me, I'm actually pretty good at this. It's like, because I know if I can transfer that it's the possibility is almost limitless and endless.
Yeah, for sure. And it helped. It helped. And the biggest thing I think as well was rugby was part of me. I can't hide it. I can't shun it. It's already there. So just use it. Like
own it.
Own it and use that perspective and it wasn't just the sport. Like, don't tap into just playing the sport. It was you traveling to different places. It was you meeting different people. It was you immersing yourself in different cultures. It was you having the discipline to do certain things that needed to be done whilst having a good time as well. It was you like bringing a team together or bringing people together. All those things happened outside of the pitch and inside of the pitch. There's, rather than, outside of just playing and passing the ball and scoring tries, there were certain things that had to happen that are transferable to anywhere else.
For sure.
That you can own as an athlete.
I know so many athletes who could be phenomenal in business because of the discipline in which they approach their sport. Like, if you look at the idea of strategy, for example, like having strategy sessions at the start of the year and saying, this is the strategy, let's bring in the right people to kind of get the strategy down and then execute. These are literally skills you can transport from sport. That's what you do every day. You go in and then, or you go and play, you do reviews. You be like, okay, guys, let's review this month. Were we performing? Why weren't we performing? Like, this is what athletes do all the time. I think that this kind of reshifting kind of what that might look like in one's head into a different world is the tough thing that people have to think about. But if once they can do that, like, that transition becomes so much more manageable,
Agreed.
So you've had this like terrific like whirlwind of a journey, I guess, from Harare to Wales to the United States. You're now working in the United States. You've been there 8 years. Talk to us a little bit about, I know you started the Tshuma Foundation recently, which is basically, maybe talk to us a little bit about your foundation and what some of the work you're doing there, so we can kind of get a sense of that.
Yeah, sure. So the foundation is based off the simple idea that I am where I am because the world said I was talented. But there are others that are also talented that deserve the same opportunity. That's where it came. And it wasn't easy for me, and it was, it's not like I'm a millionaire and I'm killing it. More, I have a lot of opportunity. I have more opportunity than a lot of people. But it wasn't easy to get here, and it could be easier. And it's me just trying to pave the way for other talented people, so that they can also do the same for others. It's trying to create a domino effect of
pay it forward.
Exactly, of paying it forward, and especially for Zimbabweans. So the foundation is created out of that, and it's based off. It's a scholarship for a talented rugby player to go to Lindenwood University, almost like the track that I took. But the important thing, the unique thing, is that it's based off character, and it's based off the ability to for that person to be a good person, to be an ambassador, to be a leader, and to also have an impact on people around them in a positive way.
Huge.
Yeah, which is massive, which is more important than your talent and your sporting talent. Because I was never the most talented rugby player. I was consistent, but I just met good people along the way that helped me. So
if you could do the same for someone else, then that would be
exactly. So the foundation is based off that, and it started negotiated with Lindenwood University to have.
How did you negotiate that? Just so we can get a little bit of idea of the story there, because of course they must have seen something new to say, look, you've had such an impact on this school. We want to help support this foundation and athletes that come through, or people that come through this, foundation. How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not for me to say what they thought of me, but I will say that they during the conversation, it was the negotiation was based on me saying that, look, this could be an opportunity to get good talent, that is not only talent, but that is, leadership quality talent from Zimbabwe that can, create an ecosystem for more talent to be cultivated and so on. And I said that, I'm willing to do this. And a big part of it as well was, trying to get the Zimbabwean community to come around this talent once they're here. And
to say again, to the Zimbabwean community to do what? To
come around this talent once they're here. So yes. There are Zimbabweans that are in St. Louis that, need to be part of these people's journey along the way. So basically the conversation was, okay, there's this talent, there's people that can come around it. The school has resources and it will benefit from it. However, and I'm giving away my secrets here, they need to, Lindenwood University in faith needs to give the first scholarship for free. So that no, I'm not sure. I'm sure I'll probably get a phone call when this gets out, or I shouldn't have said
Don't say, fam, no, I'll bleep out this part.
Yeah. But they need to, in faith, that we find the talent, raise the money, and create the ecosystem that they're going to be in, which we are. We've created some certain things within the ecosystem that they're going to be in. We're currently, sourcing the talent,
recruiting, and trying to see who wants to raise the funds as well.
And also we're raising the funds. So, and we've created a donor advised fund with the St. Louis Community Foundation, which can only be gifted towards these grants. So.
That's phenomenal. So you guys have like a target amount that you want to raise. So I know I've made as my smaller my small donation. I've made a small donation to, of course. I think to kind of contribute towards that, it'll be great. I think I'll just put your link where I'll share the link, as also everyone else has that.
Great, thanks.
I think it's terrific. Like that, you often have to acknowledge your privilege, right? To say, look, I've been lucky. And everyone has had difficulties along the journey and successes as well. But it's terrific when people can use their platforms and their journeys to almost pay the way forward to someone else, and make it easier for someone that comes in after you. So yeah, I think it's highly commendable, because a lot of people have come and kind of gone through the program, right? But I don't know a lot of people that have actually said, I've been through it. Someone else must also come through, but it should be easier than it was for me, So I would say that's like super cool, man, and highly commendable. And I think I'll reach out to as many people as I can to help back whoever the student will be, and get behind them, and hopefully it'll lead to many more beyond just one. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Dude,
Sure.
super.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And it will definitely be something that's quite impactful for whoever it is, to get that.
Yeah.
No.
I think this has been phenomenal for me. I think it's like I've taken a lot of your time, but I appreciate it. I've gotten all like the juice and all of the stories that I kind of have gotten you to this point. I think what would be great is, if we can just showcase some of these like data points across the journey, so that at least we can extract value from those particular points and share them with other people, so that they can look at your life and say, oh, maybe I can actually go to school again, even if it's later than I thought it was. Maybe I can pivot from being an athlete into consulting or do my MBA. You know what I'm trying to say? Or live in the United States or move to Wales for goodness sake, whatever. So, it's been great to kind of get a sense of that. And thank you for, bearing your soul with me and everyone who's going to watch this.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me. And I definitely think that, this podcast is going to, there's a lot of phenomenal Zimbabweans out there, and I'm excited to watch them through your, through your lens. So I'm really excited for that. So thanks for having me.
All good. Thanks, brother.
Lokuchaga uripiko